Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Psychic Tarot Show, coming to you live every Saturday here on the Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. Lovely to see so many of you already jumping in the comments. High Fire Within, Tarot by Lupo, Lakeside Laura, DigiBean, Crypto Blonde, Debser. Wow, it's so great to see so many of you. Suzanne and Marie, Pachak. Wow. And I see some new faces as well. Welcome, welcome, Patty. Woo! Tuning in from all over, far and wide. So for those of you that are new here, we meet every Saturday at this time to look together. We just kind of tune in with our energies and have a look at what is going on for all of us in this upcoming week. You know, it helps to know that we're going through some of these things together. It's not just us by ourselves. Often when I'm doing readings for people, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how I feel this week, or I can't believe, some of my experiences. And I'm like, oh, well, I've actually heard this from a lot of people. So before we get started, as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get this up here. There we go. Hold on. Let's see if I can make this go up. There we go. Beyond Mystic YouTube channel where we're streaming live. Lots of live shows going on this channel week in and week out. You can also follow us over here on Rumble and X channels. Look at some of the incredible shows there. And we are getting so close to going over 80,000 followers on Rumble. So keep sharing this, folks. If you'd like to book a session with me, you can find me right over here on beyondmysticconsultations.net. You can book a 1-hour session with me. These sessions are recorded. You can listen to the recording. You can download it after and listen to it. Oftentimes there's just so much information that comes through that people really love to be able to tune in later and get more insights, things that they didn't hear the first time around. So I'm taking bookings into the week after next. You can jump on to the promo code in the banner below and access that. So let's have a look at this week ahead. Whoop, not that one. Hold on, this one. There we go. How's everybody feeling? I just did a reading for someone and I noticed that I felt like the veils are very thin right now. I definitely felt some spirit activity. I mean, we're having big windstorms in the area that I'm in. And I felt as though it wasn't just the windstorms. It felt like there were, let's just say, lots of energies. And that when I say the veils are thin, what I'm referring to is that our allies, our helpers, our ancestors, spirit guides are close at hand. And sometimes that can feel a little disconcerting if all of a sudden something happens, something moves, and you're like, okay, I didn't touch that. What is going on? As opposed to going into a lot of anxiety, I mean, unless obviously if you are feeling really anxious and then these things are happening and it's adding to your anxiety, that's when you get to declare a boundary and say, not now, not like this. But if it feels like you're like, okay, I feel as though they're trying to communicate with me, they're trying to share something with me, maybe it is that they are wanting you to communicate with them. I've been hearing a lot lately that we have a lot of access to support and we often don't give them jobs. So if you're working on something, ask for that support. First of all, thank them for showing up. And if it's overwhelming and scary, say not right now and not like this. But if it feels like they're trying to get your attention, say, yes, I see you, I sense you there, And this is what I'm working on right now, and I would love some assistance with this. And then if you feel like you're getting the help, you just say thank you. Maybe leave a little offering, a little gift. Get some flowers, put them on the windowsill. It feels like people get worried about how do we leave offerings? What is that about? Is that some kind of strange ritual? No, it's really just like saying thank you. If you go to if you go to a friend and they do something really lovely for you and you send them a thank you card and maybe some flowers or something, it's like that. That's all it is. You're just saying thank you. So let's jump into this week and see what is showing up. So I'm laying out this big picture Zodiac wheel spread. I do this every Saturday for our forecast, and each position on this spread represents an area of our lives. So this particular position is the House of Aries. It's the first house out of 12, and it represents our egos, our self, our personalities, what we're bringing to the table this week, what we're bringing in. Where are we at? Generally speaking, right? Everybody's different, but generally speaking, there's deep emotion. And this really lends itself to what I was just speaking about. It is a lot of being very, very tapped in, being very tapped in to I want to say it's not just out there in the ethers, it's really tapped in energetically and emotionally, even to nature, to cycles, to weather, and so on. So, like heightened sensitivity, you could call this. So, I'm just going to jump over to the comments and see how people are feeling about all of that. Oh, tons of comments going on. Wishing more compassion and kindness. Well, you know what? This is actually a card that has a lot to do with this. Compassion and kindness, I often see this card as being a very mature person that is devoted to a path of healing, devoted to being of service to humanity in some kind of meaningful way. It has other definitions as well if it's badly aspected. So let's just leave that there for now. But it would be, in a sense, coming in deeply present, deeply feeling, deeply compassionate, devoted to some cause greater than yourself, and having a kind of emotional maturity. So that's where we're starting from this week. Let's see how well it's aspected. Okay, so far, pretty good. In the house of Taurus, we have the mother, our earth mother. Taurus, I believe, those of you astrologers out there would just affirm this for me. I think the sign of Taurus is ruled by Venus. Is that correct? And Venus, the planet Venus, also shows up on this card. If you can see that under the throne of our Empress, there is that Venus symbol. So it is a lot about love. It's a lot about family. Here we are on, Easter weekend, which for many of you no longer celebrating, Easter in a Christian sense, or maybe in a Catholic sense, or maybe you are celebrating this. Whatever you're doing, it's a really incredible time to honor the natural cycles, right? This is springtime for us, many of us here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the time of new birth. So the Empress is also the Divine Mother. She is pregnant with all possibilities. It's a lot about new life coming in. In Taurus, Taurus is a lot about our feeling safe and secure. It's a lot about our pleasures of life, enjoying the fine things in life, feeling good in our bodies, feeling safe and comfortable. You notice how comfortable this Empress makes herself? She's got pillows and cushions and blankets. And so there is something about taking comfort in the let's just say the simple pleasures this week, giving yourself some downtime in nature. You're going to feel safer and more secure. This is a lot about family. There could even be something related to your memories with your mother, your role as a mother. We're getting together with family this week, a lot of us this weekend. So just keeping that on your radar. Okay, here we go. Trouble in the house of Gemini. So, House of Aries, deep feelings, a lot of emotional maturity. House of Taurus, the Earth Mother, feeling grounded, feeling most comforted by the simple pleasures of life. House of Gemini, thoughts and ideas. This is a Maya illusion week where things are going to feel scrambly. I've been noticing, I mean, we have a lot of windstorms, as I said, going on in this area, and we're hearing about a lot of really wild weather going on all over the place right now. Yes, it's spring. Yes, it also feels different than your average spring, right? We're having a lot more, let's just say, extremes and unpredictable things. So all of this is very resonant with what's going on in the media. What is going on? Because Gemini rules information, messages, news, intel. Things are very scrambly. There's a lot of, let's just say, false information flying around. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of delusion. And it can feel like we look in that area of looking for clarity through thought, and we're not getting it there. Does that resonate for you folks? We're not going to feel clarity in our thoughts. And the more we try to pin it down, the more elusive it's going to become. So let's see what's on the other side of this card, because Taurus has us really grounding in to the comfort and safety. It's almost like, if you think about the energy of the mother is the nurturing, making you feel safe. The mind is not going to be a safe place probably most of this week. Likely a good time to not pay a lot of attention to things that you can't do anything about right now. And it doesn't mean you never look at those things again. It just means that right now it's going to be extra confusing. Okay, here we go. In the house of Cancer, our home base, our sanctuary. So sometimes we get that it's really great to sort of, I don't want to say like go into your little shell, your little home security place and not come out. This is not that. This is actually going for little outings. So it's curious because we have a lot of this like enjoying nature, feeling comforted in the house of Taurus, like literally kind of comfort food, comforting things, but we don't have like sort of isolating yourself at home. There's a little bit of like still getting out and doing some things. So that's curious. Let's just see what the comments are saying about a lot of this stuff, how people are feeling about this. Yeah, Bjarni is saying, see that third card as a reveal of all the BS show we've been fed for our lifetime. And I agree. This card she's referring to in the house of Gemini, the Seven of Cups, of Maya, the illusion, in the house of thoughts and ideas and clarity and communication, right? So yes, it is, we're seeing so much. Most of you watching this have already seen, it's been there, done that. So it's almost like a little bit, I'm feeling a bit of, there's a regurgitation going on. There's a sense of, we're seeing it from a lot of different angles. Yeah. Let's just see here. Fire Within is saying mental processing, more confusion, Not different from what we're already feeling. Yeah, interesting. Linda's saying on the As Above, So Below with Meg, we're told not to listen to a lot of information, tuck it away for later, right? So yeah, um, scramble, fearful illusions. Now, a very different spring for sure. Yes. And I want to bring your attention to the reality that spring always feels a bit like this, right? I remember having a Chinese medicine practitioner years ago that said spring is the hardest season on us constitutionally because we're coming out of a deep slumber. It's like when you wake up in the morning, right? That first hour as you're waking up, it's like it's very jarring to the system. And some people handle it better than others. So it's already like that. And this year it's extra like that. So interesting. This is a card in the House of Cancer, which is our sanctuary, but it's also our home. There could even be little excursions either to visit family or out on little family excursions, kind of just get outside, get out and do something, change it up a little bit. Sometimes a change is as good as a rest. I'm not talking big, long trips or anything. I'm talking like just get out and do some outings. Okay. Wow. This is kind of interesting. Are you seeing this, folks? We've got like kind of a bit like emotional and stay home and a lot of overwhelm, but then go out, but then stay in. It's like, okay, we get the memo. It's one of these weeks where it's like a bit of this and a bit of the opposite, this and that, this and that. And I feel that. I feel that as well. So in the house of Leo, we have this is the loner. Leo does not, the hermit in Leo, it's not its favorite place. Leo does not like to be alone necessarily, meaning like just having to focus inward and focus on your own light. Leo likes to be in the limelight. The limelight is inside. So you notice we've got a juxtaposition going on this week. We've got to get out of the house. Don't fixate on media. Don't fixate on figuring it all out with your mind. Take comfort in your body. There's going to be a lot of deep emotion. We could be, going on these little excursions, maybe even having some powerful conversations with family members. But then we're also supposed to be like kind of really staying sovereign and in our own lane and focusing on our inner light. So it's a big ask so far, and we're only 5 cards in. Let's see what else wants to come in to kind of help us with that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Virgo, little details. Little details. So I'm curious. I'm going to put the next card down because judgment in the house of Virgo could mean many, many, many things. And I'm going to see what's on the other side of it. Okay, 5 of Swords in the house of Libra. So exactly what I was just talking about. This week, balance is going to feel harder to achieve than it has for a while. And it's almost like what I'm being shown is that, it's like if you were up high, they're just showing me almost like this mountaintop. And if you've ever noticed, as you get up high to a higher vantage point, it gets very disorienting. It's almost like you're having a hard time keeping your balance because you're seeing so much. You're like taking in so much. And it's hard. I feel like there's going to be a sense this week of the immensity of it all and how small we feel and how hard it is to keep our balance as we're being activated and seeing that greater big picture. So staying balanced looks like it's challenging because of how much we're perceiving. This isn't just about new information. This is about expanded perceiving. This is about, like, I don't know, I feel different. I know I've learned all this stuff, but now I feel something big is happening. That sense of grandness, that sense of being so small in this very big story. So that's probably why so many of us are feeling that kind of energy this week. It is that, it's almost like the grand highest perspective and the tiniest little grain of sand. It's that juxtaposition, literally, as above, so below. They're saying as the above gets higher, the below gets deeper because you have to balance it. So we're just kind of going into this expanded perception. So many of us and many of you have been really requesting that we move past 4D into 5D and maybe even into 6D. This is what it feels like as you make that transition. It is hard to balance until you get your bearings from these grander perspectives. And I feel as though it's hard to feel grounded when you're getting this big picture overview. So let's see if we can get some more support in how we stay grounded this week. Just going to jump over to the comments. Yeah, the House of Virgo, isn't it about work and routines? It is, okay? But this is a go big or go home card. So, this isn't like the little details. This is the big expanded perception. It's the big picture, the Judgment card. So little details will be harder to focus on because it's like we've got the other lens on, right? You've got the wide lens on. You're trying to do detailed work and you've got the wide lens on. Yeah, so confusing and different. Thank you. Lovely. Right? So someone else is speaking about this house, the House of Virgo. Work, everyday responsibilities, how you are of service to the world, small domestic animals, health, preventative health, etc. And look, we've got the opposite, as I said, of little details. We've got the big expander. So probably harder to focus on those things. We're going to see what's across from that Judgment card to see how we can balance that out. But so far, are you all with me? We're getting a lot of juxtaposition this week. We're getting a lot of inward, outward, big picture, small detail. Going out, but also going inward to find that comfort. So let's see what's in Scorpio. Okay. Now, interesting, even this one, Scorpio is the 8th house. That's the 8th house, right? We've got the 6th house is Virgo, daily life, habits, activities, health, preventative health, service to others, as people were mentioning. This house here, the 7th house, is Libra, which is our relationships, our contracts, our agreements. It's how we stay balanced in life, the inner and the outer. We've got the 5 of Swords. It's challenging. There's a lot of discouraging energy. It's not heavy. It's just that irritating. You can't quite pin it down. You can't quite nail it down. You can't quite get that feeling of balance. There's always a little bit like autocorrect going on this week. Then we go into the House of Scorpio, the 8th house. endings and new beginnings, great transitions, death and rebirth. There's a number 8 there, but it's the 8 of swords. So it has us kind of tied up and feeling a bit helpless. So there's a theme going on here. It may feel like we're not making strides forward. So it's really important not to start to build a big story of victimhood this week, right? 8 of swords could have us, especially with that 5 of swords beside it, it could have us feeling pretty discouraged, like intellectually and psychologically. Our plans are not ironing out as quickly as we want them to. Things feel a bit stuck. Literally, look at this. The swords are stuck in the mud and we can't figure it out with our minds. We don't see a way out of the weeds, as Penny Kelly would say, right? So Scorpio is saying, this is likely how we're going to feel. We don't want to push ourselves to try to figure it out when it's not apparent, when it's not showing itself. This is where we have to go inward and have faith that we're going to start to see it. And if there isn't any action that can be taken right now, don't take any action, basically. Okay. Oh, another one of these juxtapositions. You know what? So we've got the King of Wands. I'm going to pull this down. I do feel like they're having a bit of a laugh with us this week. It really does feel like, we call it Heyoka medicine. It feels like a week of juxtaposition. And I've seen these weeks before. I feel like it's been a couple of years since I saw one of these weeks like this. And the best thing you can do is stay in your humor. I like to use the statement, miles to go. Keep kind of a sense of humor as this unfolds. And don't get too seriously attached to any narrative, to any belief system. There's a trickster energy in the air. That's why it's giving us the highs and the lows and the inability to really find balance or perspective. Yeah, King of Wands is very well aspected in the house of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is expansion, philosophy, travel, freedom. He is the most expansive, creative, freedom lover of all. But it doesn't really match very well with the rest of this week. So there could be this massive drive to just like break through and be rebellious and do something just totally spontaneous, out of character. You might have that feeling this week. And interesting, I'm getting a bit of like armchair philosophy, armchair traveling. It could be really great to be re-inspired by stories of like liberation, freedom, stories of great courage, of great feats of accomplishment, heroic stories. You may want to, from the safety and comfort of your armchair, go on a different kind of journey this week that is a lot about following that archetype. This is definitely like a hero archetype, especially showing up in that house of Sagittarius. And when we're feeling like we're losing the plot, sometimes it helps to go back to source material. What are the stories that light you up? Read biographies. Read hero stories. It feels like that's going to be good for your soul this week, and it's going to help reset your compass. It's like this is the compass. Gemini which direction are we going? What plan are we making? How are we executing that plan? Where's our vision? It's the compass is spinning around right now, and we need to sort of lock into something that feels like super inspiring. Just gonna come on over to the chat and see how that's resonating for people. Aw, storybook epic fantasy read. Yeah. Aw. Aw, thanks, Lakeside Laura. Get a consultation with Ashala. That'll definitely put you on a big wild big picture hero's journey. Yeah. Fire Within. Love that for us, Sages Ashala. Yeah, it's okay. I don't always recommend kind of staying home and being an armchair philosopher or an armchair revolutionary or historian or hero. But we do need to go to source sometimes and collect inspiring stories. So this is a great week for that. We're already going to be feeling a bit lost. You might as well set your compass, align it with something that really lights you up. Okay, let's keep going here, and then we'll have a little midway stop. Okay, so we're up at Capricorn. How's the Capricorn? Slide my little table around here so we get a better view of the top of the wheel. Capricorn is the house that relates to us feeling like we're climbing to our highest potential. Capricorn is the goat. It is the climber. It can reach the heights that, the rest of the signs are always kind of struggling to keep up with. That ability to climb. It's very destiny oriented. It's very like, this is my purpose. There's a lot of patience. There's a lot of Capricorn rules time and timing. It rules patience and perseverance. There's no other sign that reminds us, like, there's Aries starts off running up the mountain. And if you even think of the different analogy with the ram, which is Aries, which is not going to climb to the same heights as the mountain goat, because it literally is just trying to race up, and it runs out of it hasn't got the agility, it hasn't got the patience, it just doesn't have that ability to go quite as high as the goat. Part of what the goat has going for it is that energy of patience, of knowing what's the right moment to make the next step. If you don't go this way, go this way. And if you don't see the way to go, sit down, get reoriented, and stay observant. Wait for the sign. Wait for the sign. So this is a lot about us feeling like we're on our destiny path. We've got our purpose. We're actualizing, and this can be anything from finding the lifestyle you want, the career you want, the relationship you want, bringing a lot of people into the same ideology and belief that you have. And, even if you end up feeling like you're stuck out on a ledge and you don't see the path, the next way to continue to climb, just wait. Because look at this, right? It's like we're being shown the importance, the value of hanging in there. And look at the enlightenment. I almost see this with this card. We're being, in a way, put on hold in order to develop the frequency upgrade with that judgment card in the house of Virgo, right? Even in our health, a lot of upgrades happening to our physical bodies. They are literally not the bodies we had 6 months ago. And within the next 4 months, they will be different again. really different. So you notice this halo around the head of our hanging man, hanging person. It's very similar to the light that is in the lantern of our hermit elder. So interesting as well, I would say the two most mature cards of the tarot are this elder hermit and this king of cups. So maturity, wisdom, patience, seeing the big picture, like holding space like an elder. That's all themes for us this week. No matter how old you are, your inner elder is being activated. Okay. So you may not have a really strong idea of your purpose, your destiny. You may feel like you're off track. Been speaking to a lot of people this week that said, it just feels like I'm stuck in the mud, like I'm going backwards. And the guides keep saying, look, give yourself some perspective. You know, the hanging man is also hanging up high. The hermit, he's up on a high vantage point. Judgment is a big picture. This hanging man, he's getting an alternative, higher perspective on something. So looking at your life from the lens of what was your frequency like 2 years ago? What were you thinking? What were you believing? You know, what were you prepared to do? What were you mature enough to navigate towards? We're going to be in another, they're saying the upgrades, like 2 years from now, we will have done double what we've done in the last 2 years. So we are exponentially growing. But if we keep looking at what we're not achieving and not look back at what we've already done, this feels like a week to really look back at what you've already done and to look towards your heroes, the inspirational stories, to keep that fire lit in the hermit's lamp there. All right. Oh, while I'm at this midpoint, I'll take a moment to bring some new information in. So here we go. We've got these beautiful handcrafted luxury artisan soaps. And I'm just going to check out what the coupon is for this. 10% off with the promo code capital B, capital M 10. Okay, and now I also want to bring your awareness to this, which is the Opening Psychic Senses series part 2 with Janine and Meg. This happens on May the 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. There is a 10% discount right now. It looks like it's already there. You can just come onto the link. So this is a really beautifully well-priced workshop, I think, for all this information that you're getting. Lifetime access, interactive live replay session, downloadable workshop notes and booklet, a detailed guide to support your journey. Beautiful. So let's keep going. We've got 3 more cards. And so far it's been like a woo, trying to stay balanced. Interesting. Very, very interesting. We have that as above, so below. We've got it this week, as within, so without. So what happens when people are trying to stabilize? They get really they get kind of small in terms of their wanting to kind of be very careful. So there could be a sense this week, this is in the house of Aquarius, it's your friends, your network, your community. It's also about technology, but Four of Pentacles is a lot about holding on to what you've got and feeling a little bit unsure about, let's just say, making big purchases, making big decisions, not really taking big risks. So even though we are needing to inspire ourselves with some stories of heroism, of revolutionary activity, we're not feeling very confident in running in any direction right now. So this is fuel for the imagination, these stories, these just to keep your fire burning. But practically speaking, you're probably going to feel pretty sort of minimalistic this week. So that's another one of those polar juxtapositions between this Four of Pentacles across, or almost directly across from Judgment. So again, holding tight as we get elevated to this bigger perspective. So you kind of have to, in a way, be, I want to say, minimalistic a little bit this week, not try to take on too much, and just know that there's bigger stuff in the wings. Your imagination needs to soar, but your energy body needs to kind of be protected to some extent and feel just focused on stabilizing, on grounding. Wow. Okay. Last card in the House of Pisces. Yay! I've been like, please, what's going in our subconscious? Where is all this happening from? Well, this looks great. You know that statement, the proof is in the pudding? Often what we see going on in the House of Pisces is where we're really at. I'm going to repeat that. What we see going on in Pisces is where it's sort of like a truth gauge or a meter that registers. It's the subconscious. So it shows us like, okay, we might think all of this is happening, but this is what's going on underneath. Well, balance, reciprocity, sharing, service, gifts to others, gradually building momentum, stabilizing in economies. Like, this is really great in terms of, we don't see, even with economic security, it's almost like we're a lot more worried about what's being told to us than what we're actually feeling in our guts. So obviously we don't want to discount all the narratives that are out there, but we're also getting a little bit overwhelmed with the, let's call it the cry wolf syndrome, right? We're like, okay, I got to just stay calm, stay grounded, focus on this energy of balance and reciprocity. This is showing us what's actually going on. The House of Pisces, which is, the number 6 is harmony. It's harmonized around our material resources, our wealth, our ability to give and receive, balance, sharing, and reciprocity. It's a great card. It's a great card. So that gives us, the the real underlying truth, which is we're a lot further along than we think, and that it appears by listening to the headlines. Ooh, right? Just going to check in with your comments around this. Aw. You always share in a gentle way, and that is lovely. Thank you. Digibina is saying, my wolf is now a horse. Interesting. Cry horse. Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, Courtney is saying, yeah, it confirms the readings of Janine. Ah, yes. Mm-hmm. Being kind to ourselves. Mm-hmm. Love it. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for bringing your attention here. You know, it there's that we might not always get what we want, but we do get what we need. And what we need is to see that if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of juxtaposition, a lot of, the opposites. I need to stay balanced, but I need to be activated. I need to, stay close to home wrapped in a blanket, but I need to get out and go for, a drive and do some things. I need to be inspired and motivated by reading heroic stories and amazing biographies of people that I admire. But I also don't need to like make any big moves around doing anything myself. It's like, yeah, that's all very, kind of disorienting, right? I get overall a sense of disorienting this week. So knowing that we have the opportunity to not really get too worked up about it. Like, okay, I love that we have the two most mature cards here. The King of Cups in Aries, the Hermit in Leo, both in fire signs. So our spirit is developing character, it's maturing. Our capacity to handle what it takes to move into 5D, what it takes to move into 6D, it's expanding. And that there's growing pains that go along with that. Just keep breathing, keep inspiring yourself with, I want to say, beautiful stories, and know that when the time is right, you'll see the path open up in front of you. Okay, and the end of the whole storyline, it's another one of these stop, go. It's the little Page of Wands. I have to say humor. I probably, out of any week this year, I would probably recommend humor is your very best medicine this week. Like, find humor. Like, focus on bringing humor into your life and laugh as much as you possibly can this week. It will really help smooth out these edges. And, when you're trying, have you ever noticed when you're trying to do something and it's not working, or you have a lot of anxiety, if you end up in one of, those great laughing fits where you can't breathe? And then after, have you ever noticed it's sort of like having a big cry? It's just like you are literally feeling like you're wrung out, and all of that, whatever was there is like gone. And you're just like, okay, this feels so good. I just laughed until my sides ached. I think that's the medicine this week, people. Find humor in all of this. Not because it's like so bad and so pathetic, because there's times for us to analyze and organize, and there's times for us to go into, I want to say, like perspective holding, just breathe and see, in a way, the cosmic joke of it all, like to lighten up a little bit. Take some breaths, because we are literally going to be feeling like we're floating. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that's resonating, and yeah. Mm-hmm. Lakeside Laura. Wow. Okay. So just doing our heading out here. I'm going to, as always, of course, remind you about my sessions. Here, let me bring this back like so. And there we go. You can book a session with me. You can find me here on beyondmysticconsultations.net. Use the coupon code below to receive a 10% discount. As I said before, I'm booking into, I think I might even have like one space left next week or something. And then the week after that, there's some spaces. So jump onto that link if you feel ready to have an inspired journey of higher perspective in your life. Of course, as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe on our Beyond Mystic YouTube channel. And also, if you're following us over on Rumble, that's awesome. Share it, like it, and yeah, let me just come back in here. I'm going to check in with your comments, see how everybody's doing. Aw, thank you. Love hugs. I only watch things that make me feel good. You know, you're bringing an interesting point in. People sometimes say, oh, Ashala, you're just kind of trying to see everything from the bright side and all this hopium that you're feeding us. And I want to point out that, we can look at some really heavy stuff from a perspective instead of looking at it like all the things that are barriers, that are mountains that we have to climb, that are things that we don't understand, that are ways that we feel like the system's got us and is controlling us. Every time we start to feel more and more disempowered by the perspective that we look at stuff from, I feel like in a way the dark force is kind of getting a little leverage, right? Every time we are like down, we're feeling discouraged, defeated, afraid, disempowered, confused, alone, desperate. Those are little knocks that push us down. So I want to look at all the information. I don't want to not look at anything. I mean, I've been a truther for 30 years. I looked at the worst, scariest stuff, just like many of you. It's not that I don't want to look at it. I want to look at it from the perspective of what the heck am I going to do with that information? I'm doing something and it starts right here, right now. It starts in me. I'm changing me. And then I'm working on my angle of what I'm good at to make a change out there. And I'm committed as all get out. I am fiercely committed to creating that new earth, to doing my very best, playing my part. So I just really am not interested in spending a lot of time feeling afraid or discouraged. It's so easy to go there. It's so easy for them to push those buttons. When I say them, I mean the energies that are all about controlling and manipulating our minds, our egos, our energy bodies, our will, our perception, our focus. So I'm all about claiming that focus and working with what's going on from the angle of how are you going to see it and work with it so you don't get blown off course. So there's my little rant for today. It's been beautiful sharing with all of you. And what's coming up on our schedule tomorrow? Let's just bring this up here. We've got the Beyond Astro Show with Meg at 5 p.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And then next week, oh, hold on, gotta go back there. And then Monday, we've got the Daily Astro Show with Meg and coffee and chats with me. Oh, right. That was the other thing I was supposed to invite you to. Good thing I remembered it. Hold on. Let's bring you over here. There we go. Coffee and chats, Beyond Mystic memberships. So I am going to be featured this week. Oh, hold on. Got to get on the right page here. So these are every Monday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern. And this coming Monday, it is yours truly. So this is a 30-minute live session, and your chance to ask questions, listen, share your journey in a sacred and welcoming space. There are, we're giving all kinds of spiritual teachings, insights, tidbits. It's an opportunity for you to connect with the community, have more kind of one-on-one chats. And yeah, basically, this is, we're doing, every one of us on the Beyond Mystic team are having our Mondays. And this week it's mine. So if you'd like to come on over and join me, I'd love to see you there, and we can get even deeper into we can look at some personal things with you. We can look at more of the collective questions, and you just get to ask me questions about whatever you want. So I'd love to see you there. And till then, have a beautiful week, everybody. Bye for now.